article here by Seamus Cook at Counterpunch. I'll link down below. As you can see, the title: "The Left's Curious Silence About Medicare for All Demonstrations." And I didn't even hear about this because not at least a lot of people I follow on social media haven't really talked about this. I didn't really see anything, hear anything about it until I came across somebody posting this. And then I did just get an email from the Seattle DSA saying they're having a march in Seattle on the 24th for this. So if you're in one of the bigger cities or close to one in the U.S., go out this Saturday if you can for this rally. But why are so-called people on the left, not talking about this? Kind of curious, right? On July 24th, there will be a long overdue national mobilization for Medicare for All, with a big event planned in D.C., while 40 plus other cities across the nation have marches and rallies planned by local coalitions of progressive groups. Such an event would normally be enthusiastically supported by all sections of the left. Interestingly, however, the lead up to the mobilization exposed deep divides, providing that universal health care isn't actually a point of unity, but one of real controversy among leftists. But I don't necessarily agree with how Seamus Cook is framing this, frankly, because you're not, I'm sorry, but you're not on the left if you're not in favor of universal health care. You're not on the left if this isn't a priority for you as a lawmaker, whether that be Bernie Sanders, AOC, anybody else, because again, not fighting to make sure everybody has health care so we don't have tens of thousands of people dying each year in the US because they don't have health care, because we don't have people going fucking bankrupt due to medical debt, so we don't have people not being able to call an ambulance because it costs thousands of dollars during a fucking emergency ride to the hospital. If you're not actually fighting like hell for that, especially if that's what you supposedly campaigned on, I'm sorry, you're not on the left. And again, those two people I mentioned in particular aren't leftists anyways, because they are imperialists, and just by default, you're obviously not on the left if you're not a fucking staunch supporter of anti-imperialism. So I'm going to reframe this. Some of the biggest names on the Democratic Party, that's probably a better way to put it, have been noticeably absent in their promotion or even mention of the demonstrations, because they know that Biden ain't going to do shit on it, and they don't want to call out Biden, right? While some of the biggest politicians and orgs linked to Medicare for All movement have seemingly united to shun the National Day of Action, a roaring silence. Medicare for All is suddenly controversial only because the Dems have abandoned the cause. I mean, Seamus is right there. And because they control the governments, they'll be de facto targets of the June 24th demonstrations. Exactly. These Democratic, power brokers, whether it be, AOC, Bernie Sanders, not talking about this because, again, that would mean calling out their own party, their own colleagues, whether that be in the House or the Senate, and also Joe Biden, who is a vociferous opponent of Medicare for All, and of course he campaigned on the public option. He's even completely abandoned that fucking piece of shit compromise that he campaigned on. Since no politician wants to be in the crosshairs of a call for demand, Democrats' animosity towards the march quickly trickled down to the left-leaning groups inside the Dems' big tent, whose passion for Medicare has been handcuffed. Some leaders of these groups are certainly aware that their silence is a condition for them to have continued influence among the Dem. I mean, Jesus. How? It's just so freaking stupid, right? They want to continue to have influence, so they want to be able to rub elbows with these powerful politicians and not get on their good side, while completely abandoning the needs of the working class, the most vulnerable and marginalized people who don't have access to healthcare in the United States. Pretty disgusting, right? Thus, orgs that talked endlessly about M4A, such as Jacobin, the Dem DSA, and Healthcare Now, suddenly have nothing to say about a national march demanding it. Well, I will say for the DSA, at least on the local level, I did just get an email from the local Seattle chapter, as I stated at the beginning, and they are organizing a rally in support of the Medicare for All this Saturday. But I think maybe Seamus is talking more here on a national level, how they completely dropped the ball on the force the vote issue, even though their members overwhelmingly supported that tactic. Equally quiet are the nearly 100 plus Dem politicians who have co-sponsored the Congressional Medicare for All bill, who've been gift-wrapped a platform to promote their ledge, but have declined to speak at the event or even tweet about its existence. Pretty telling, right? Well, we'll sign this paper because we know probably nothing will happen with it, but we're not going to speak out or, go to one of these rallies because that would be too much, because Dems are in power right now. Maybe we could actually, do something, push the window of discussion a bit. Many left-leaning groups celebrated the House Dems after they revealed their Medicare for All ledge, replete with 100-plus co-signers. The bill is good, but nobody believes that it stands any chance of passing without a massive pressure campaign. Like this would help generate some of that much-needed pressure, right? Which is exactly what marches and rallies are designed to help achieve, for sure. Changing priorities and watered down demands. The Dems' silence about the march, including Bernie Sanders and AOC, betrays a lack of seriousness about passing for Medicare for All ledge. Dems appear content with the ledge remaining an abstract symbol that they rewrite and re-celebrate every new Congress but never actually vote on. Again, it was like, the force the vote thing. The ineffectual legislation, however, is very effective at keeping left-leaning groups attached to the Dem Party. The carrot Medicare for All is perpetually dangled but always out of reach. For those good faith orgs who like to use the bill's existence for an opportunity to organize around Medicare for All, the obvious first step would be participating in actions like the July 24th to pressure politicians to take action correctly. You get a bunch of people together, DC, all of these cities, communities across the U.S., and you call out maybe politicians by name. So let's say you're in Washington State. Where are you at, Pramila Jayapal? You say you support Medicare for All. Why aren't you at this rally? Why aren't you doing more to get it passed? Why aren't you calling out the Biden's administration, even breaking his campaign promise that he was going to support the watered down piece of shit compromise of a public option, as one example? Or in the Bronx for AOC, or in Vermont, Bernie Sanders, etc. Again, 100 people signed that bill, right? Real pressure can actually be applied here because Medicare for All is already widely popular pre-pandemic, but is certainly now the most popular solution to the healthcare crisis. I mean, that is how far right the political system is in the United States. During a fucking pandemic, we can't even get a public option, let alone universal health care. Quite an indictment of this shithole country and the imperial core here. The pandemic exposed deep rot in the U.S. healthcare system while pounding the final nail in the moribund Obamacare, pushing politicians to take some action to mitigate the but they haven't done anything, so I don't know what action they're talking about mitigating here. Seamus, what are you talking about exactly? An historic opportunity presents itself for an already popular man. You don't abandon the issue to instead seek breadcrumbs, but exactly what's happening. The Democratic Party is exerting an influence on left-adjacent groups, proving once again the Dems are the graveyard of social movements. That part is completely true. Democratic Party is the graveyard of social movements. Leftist gatekeepers. DSA has expressed perhaps the loudest silence about July 24th. It's true that a couple of local DSA chapters decided to join the mobilizations, like Seattle, Portland and Chicago, but national DSA has been totally silent. The DSA website and social media accounts have much to say about Medicare for All, but nothing to say about the National Day of Action. So what? Again, that doesn't really make sense. Well, I guess you could say you're for something, but then you're actually not doing anything to make that happen. So are you really for it? No, you're fucking not. Of course not. An action poses a serious question for DSA. Will it become simply a lobby group attached to them? Which, I mean, frankly, that's, at least on the national level, that definitely seems like what it is today. Or will it become a socialist org that represents and actively fights for the working class? Currently, DSA is drifting towards a lobby group. The upcoming DSA convention will consider a resolution that asks DSA to dedicate $10,000 for a nationwide Medicare for All campaign. Yeah, like what, 10,000? Like, what the fuck you gonna do with that? Again, they'd be much better served right now using their platform, using their email list, social media, etc., to advocate people to go to these rallies, whether in DC or these, I think, 40 other places that they're supposed to be happening on the 24th. That would make a lot more fucking sense than a measly $10,000. Like, yeah, Seamus is right. With such a puny investment, DSA may be better off simply donating the money to community healthcare clinic, since $10,000 for a nationwide campaign guarantees that no real campaign will manifest. What is that? Like, a couple $100 in each state? Like, what in the fuck are you gonna get done with that? Jack fucking shit. That's so stupid. Within DSA, Medicare for All is very likely the most popular issue among the membership. Equally bad is group Healthcare for Now, which is singularly focused on winning Medicare for All. Astonishingly, the podcast for Healthcare for Now released an episode on June 28 titled "Do Marches and Rallies Work?" Wow. So they're not wanting people to get out in the street and try to push politicians to give everybody health care in the richest country in the world. Without mentioning the upcoming march, while much of the episode was dedicated to downplaying the effectiveness of marches and rallies. Wow. Controlled opposition or something, right? Is this a fucking... Jesus Christ, like some front for the health insurance of pharmaceutical industry? Then on July 12th, a new episode was released promoting a week of action to lower the age of Medicare by calling your senator. Again, with zero... So they're not really fighting for Medicare for all. They're not fighting for healthcare now. They're fighting to lower the eligibility age for Medicare. Oh, Jesus Christ. Fucking liberals for sure. Not fucking socialists. Finally, there's a small yet powerful coterie of leftist writers, podcasters, and YouTubers who mostly shun the event. Barely a tweet has been donated to the cause of July 24th. The online left, much of whom share DSA-style politics, seem allergic to the streets. But again, you're not on the left if you're not in support of universal health care, and you're not on the left if you're not in support of this event to try to push politicians, try to put some pressure on them to actually, do what a massive majority of voters want, especially, so-called, Democratic or liberal-leaning voters. Typically, orgs use every opportunity to educate and organize around the issue they're fighting for. When a Medicare for All org is handed a national day of action around the exact issue they claim to be fighting for, then why not exploit the op, even if it's done passively? DSA or Healthcare Now isn't obligated to dump all of their meager resources into the July 24th, but pretend it isn't happening is brazenly incompetent at best. Agreed. But again, I think it's by design. It's by design. Few Dems talk about Medicare for All anymore, unless it's done purely in the abstract or in the limited context for an upcoming election. After losing his electoral campaign, Bernie Sanders downgraded his advocacy for Medicare for All to lowering the age of Medicare to 60. Like, really, Bernie? Again, he is a very useful sheepdog to corral people into the Democratic Party. I don't know. Probably, frankly, that's all he's ever really been. And he's not on the left because he's not an anti-imperialist. And many leftist groups proceeded to copy the demand, relegating Medicare for All to some time in the distant future. But just as left groups started dancing to the new tune, Democrats appear to abandon it. The July 4th announcement about an inter-Democratic Party deal about human infrastructure failed to mention lowering the Medicare age. though expanding services within the existing Medicare plans was mentioned. Historic deal will, of course, be whittled down in the Senate before passage, where the age will stay at 65. Progressive will praise the bill as a step in the right direction towards Medicare for all. Maybe by, 2200, it'll be, lowered to 55 or something, and we can all look forward to that when the Earth is destroyed by climate change and it's caused by capitalism. Historical movement was made for Medicare for all, and is missing the moment is never a step in the right direction, but an opportunity for healthcare oligarchy to solve historic crisis intact. Yeah, Affordable Care Act, Jesus. Nice work, Seamus. I might send him an email, maybe see if he wants to get interviewed on the channel about this. Pretty interesting, though. And then, yeah, so I saw the same day this is happening. I'm going to do a video on that next. AOC is actually having a rally with Nina Turner. Rally. The hell? There's nothing to search. What am I doing? Imagine campaigning on Medicare for all and skipping out in a national march for it because you gotta do a photo op with AC. Let's see. Let's go to Nina Turner's page, because also she, talks about being in. She's obviously not elected, but she is trying to get elected, and one of her big things is Medicare for all. So, again, I mean, these people once elected, because they're in the Democratic Party and they don't want to be, castigated and, treated as outsiders, they ended up playing the game, obviously I think Nina Turner would be probably an improvement over the seat she's taking, or probably who's, campaigning against her. But again, it's, as Seamus pointed out, the Democratic Party is where social movements go to die. So nothing from Nina Turner from the last several days, and she, tweets quite a bit. Okay, but anyways, take my word for it. She's having a rally on that same day. AOC is supposed to be there as well. Okay, so nothing from her. Let's look at AOC. $12 million followers, pretty fucking huge platform. How many people do you think AOC would be able to get to participate in these rallies and these events if she tweeted about it to her 12.7 million followers? Probably quite a few, right? That's a lot of people all around the US. Yeah, that was her stupid shit, doing the both sides thing with Cuba. Jesus. Okay, so nothing. 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 We'll go back again. This is going back to July 2nd. Nothing. 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 Okay. Rashida Tlaib. But July 2nd. Nothing from AOC. Rashida Tlaib. 1.4 million. Still pretty decent sized platform, right? And then maybe we'll look at the DSAs on Twitter. Nothing. 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 Tweets a little more than AOC, at least on that. I think AOC has a couple. Nothing. Voting rights. Nothing. 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 Alright, nothing from Rashida Tlaib as far as I can see, at least as of recent. And you would think if they were talking about it, they'd be talking about it, more recently since it's happening. Okay, let's look at AOC's, her rep page. No, more both sides bullshit on Cuba. But, she's completely dropped the ball on advocating for Medicare for all, right? Since Biden got in office, maybe before, but mere peep. Nothing. There you go. All right. Bernie Sanders. Nothing. 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 Again, he's completely stopped talking about it as well since Biden got in office, and as that Seamus's article pointed out, now he's seems completely fine just advocating that the Medicare age of eligibility gets lowered from 65 to 60. Again, that's not very progressive, is it? Okay, nothing from Bernie. Seamus was right. So that's, nothing from AOC, nothing from Rashida Tlaib, nothing from Bernie Sanders. Let's look at DSA. There's the Seattle. So on a national scale, let's check, and then we'll see if the local org, the Seattle, which I think they probably would, because as I said, I got an email. Oh, hold on one sec. I got to end the video here.